also. Okay, there we go. And just to make sure it's working.
And just to make sure it's working.
Ah!
And just to make sure it's working.
Don't do that. Oh my God. Okay. So let me put this down. Oh. Okay. Hi. How are you? Okay. I'm still getting set up a little bit. I said, am I late or early? You are on time. Okay. This starts at 10. Well, 10 my time. So we are at 10:01. So technically, you're right on time. I'm giving like I guess, a 5-minute window before I actually start going into details on things because that seems fair. You said, I'm doing great, smiley face. What about you? You know, I'm actually doing really good, which is crazy because it's been a rough year, but the last week and a half have been extremely rough. So I'm happy that I'm doing good. And what is this one doing? I don't know. Which way is my hair going? Oh, yeah, that way. You said it's 7 p.m. Oh, where are you? That is actually that's not too bad. And then also want to make sure I am watching this. Okay. So where are you guys located? India. Oh, nice. I'm gonna go there one day. I'm gonna go everywhere one day, right? Okay. Let's see. So we've got 5 people so far. I know technically one of them might just be myself. Oh wait, I didn't come in. Pakistan. Yes, I think I remember you saying that in a comment, which, whew, I know you said your Danmei books are expensive, which is like, man. Ugh. So, but hi, I see some more people have joined. So I'm just waiting until about 5 after before I get started to give people time to actually tune in. Hi, Stacy from North Carolina. I think I've driven through there before, but have never actually just gone. Is it nice there? Said Lauren, hi from the US, though I'm sneaking a while at work. Okay, I won't tell them. Okay, I promise. Hi, Josie, or is it Josie or Jossie? Please let me know. But hi, this is your first live when you're from Germany. Woo! Welcome from Germany. Well, welcome from McDonough, which is a city that is about 30 minutes south of Atlanta. Um, and I don't like the city, but that's okay. So we have about 2 minutes left. Okay, cool. I'm glad I said it right the first time. Um, but yeah, so how is everybody doing? I know I got Cookielicious that told me they were doing great, but how are you all doing? Um, it's so nice to do another live with you. I really should do these more often because it's weird. I don't like talking with people, but I like talking with people. Does that make sense? I don't think so. I don't think it makes sense at all. Um, but yeah, you guys just tell me how you're doing, and then in less than a minute, I'll get started on my Danmei journey. Okay. So also my background, I don't know what's going on. I was gonna sit in front of my collectibles again, but it's like a small space when I turn that way, and so I don't know what's on these walls. Okay, let's see. I was looking forward to this live. Yay! Oh no, you're exhausted because you had your first day at a new job and it's a lot of socializing. Oh, is your social battery drained? Because if so, I definitely understand, but good otherwise. There's no current for 2 hours here. And I'm going mad, but your live is my savior. Oh God. That's such a big responsibility. I'm going to try to keep saving you then. Well, It is 10:05, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I just want to make sure also that everyone can hear me well because I don't have my mic like right here. Obviously, it's a little bit up, but just really quickly, can everyone hear me well or should I be louder? Just let me know. And then after that, we'll go ahead and get started. Do, 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 do. Okay, absolutely. No problem in hearing. You sound great to me. Okay, good. So we are going to get started. Okay. So I want to start off by saying I discovered Danmei in the year of, what year is this? 2023 is when I discovered Danmei on accident. And here's what happened. So I'm a person who loves watching TV shows, never really a movie person. And then around 2020, for those of you who were in my first live session, 2020 or 2021, you guys know that I started my Mandarin learning journey. And so all I watched for years was nothing but C dramas. And so in 2023, a little bit later in the year, I was trying to find another C drama to watch. And um, Netflix, when you automatically go onto the YouTube channel, it shows you things to watch, like the top things at the time or whatever, or something that they think you would like based on what you've liked before. And I saw the Untamed at the top. And I was like, ooh, the Untamed, what's this? And so I watched the little trailer that they had there. And as I was watching it, I got extremely uncomfortable because I was feeling, and like I said, it's a long story, it's a deep story, so just bear with me. But I was watching the trailer and I felt extremely uncomfortable because I was like, this seems like a bit homosexual. It's just crazy. So I grew up in a Christian household, okay, and everyone knows that although all the sins are supposed to be equal, for some reason they just really like to harp on homosexuality. And so there is this thing where homosexuality just seems to be the thing that all the pastors want to talk about, that all the pastors want to say, you're going to burn in hell, And so I grew up as a kind of person who never really I never treated anyone differently just because, a guy liked a guy or a girl liked a girl. I was a kind person. But growing up in a Christian household, I did have the belief that, yeah, okay, if you are homosexual, then obviously, guess you're going to hell. And so even though I could be in a room like with a bunch of, homosexuals and be the kindest person ever, I had that belief. Not that I would be thinking about it at the moment, but so yeah, I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't think I should watch this because it's not good, which is really crazy if you think about it because of all the other things that we watch. But again, when something is ingrained into your mind from childhood, it's really hard to break away from things that you have learned. And it's really hard to unlearn things as well. So after that, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to watch that. So then I was just scrolling through a bunch of C dramas and I came across Word of Honor. So I was like, I read the summary, which I can't remember what the summary says at this exact moment. But the summary, obviously, they wouldn't be like, it's a BL, a Chinese BL or anything like that. So I was like, this sounds very interesting. So I went onto YouTube and I watched the trailer. Hi, Rubies. I watched the trailer and I have the link. I'll show you guys later. I think I can share my screen, but I didn't test that before I started, so I don't want to try to do that and then something crazy happens. So I'll just put it in the description and you guys can watch it later. But really quick before I continue, you said it's wild also that even with that mindset, you still clock the BL despite the censorship. Yeah. So I watched the trailer, and the trailer that I watched did not hint at any romantic relationship whatsoever. It focused heavily on the plot. And so I was like, "Oh, this this sounds good. I really want to watch this." So, well, and that's how it started. So, basically, I watched the first episode and I was like, I don't know. Something's off. Um, you know how some people say they have a gaydar or something like that? Not to say that I have one, whatever. But I was like, something's not right here. But I was like, but this show, I like this first episode. So I turned to the next episode and I was watching and I'm like, I don't know. So then I watched the third episode because, because of censorship in China, nothing is ever direct in your face when it comes to the C dramas, And so he said gaydar is not required to clock when Kashyap. Oh yes, jumping into a word of honor because Untamed was too gay. Yeah. Yes. And so what's the show? Word of Honor. Let me just type that in really quickly. But yeah, the show is called Word of Honor. I'm going to pin that. And so by the third episode, I was like, okay, I'm feeling some gay vibes in this. And so I contemplated with myself and I was like, should I keep watching this? Because I don't feel right in my spirit, But the plot was really good. So I decided, okay, I'm going to watch this and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. And we're just going to leave well enough alone. So after I finished watching it, I loved it. You guys, I loved it so much. I should probably watch it again to refresh myself. But anyway, I loved it so much that I was like, you know what? It was very soft. And yes, you could tell that the two people clearly liked each other, but it was very soft. It wasn't hardcore, gay in your face. This is my mindset at the time. And so I'm like, if all of their C dramas are like this, then I think it might be fine to watch a couple of BL C dramas because it's not all in your face. So I went back to The Untamed and I decided to watch it. Ugh. And I fell in love yet again. Oh my God. And so and so I actually had a talk with my husband about it. At the time, I was like, I'm struggling because I'm really liking these shows, but they're centered around the main characters are gay. But I was like, but the plot is really good. And then I just had to sit there and think. And I was like, you know what? First off, it's just a TV show. It's just fiction. And when I think about all of the other shows that I've watched, where they have killing or stealing or fornication, or all the other sins and lying and all that stuff, it's like I don't feel anything watching those. Or even like one of my absolute favorite shows that I have seen probably 7 times, well, 5 times is Scandal with Kerry Washington. And one of the main characters, Cyrus Bean, he's gay. And when I would watch their scenes, I wouldn't feel anything, because they were side characters. So I was like, it's okay, because they're not the main shebang, I guess. I don't know. And so I was like, if I don't have a problem watching them and I don't have a problem watching the cheating because the president, sorry for spoilers in Scandal if you want to watch or whatever, the president is sleeping with another woman, why should I have a problem with watching C dramas with two gay people and it's not even really showing anything like that, Before I continue, I'm going to read some of the comments really quickly. Stacy said, I have the same inner conflict due to a similar background. I'm glad you're talking about it. Magic Girl Marani says, understandable. And Adria says, I remember recommending the Untamed to all my friends, and they just made a face. Oh, yeah. What is it, the long hair? I think the long hair is beautiful. All Chinese men should just have long hair. No, I'm kidding. Kind of. Cookielicious. I couldn't understand The Untamed when I was watching it for the first time. Yes, it's very interesting hearing a perspective like this because I was not raised religious at all and got into BL pretty young. Yeah, I've run into some people that got into it really young, and I'm just like, I didn't even hear of it until, a couple years ago. Like, honestly, I didn't even know they made gay stuff. This sounds so stupid. But, so yeah, I had that talk with him, and he was like, I mean, and we have the same Christian background. And so he was like, if you like the plot, then just watch the shows. And so I was like, okay, cool. That made me feel a little bit better because spiritually speaking, I looked up to my husband a lot more in that arena. And so after I watched The Untamed, shortly after that, I temporarily reunited with my mother. And she knew all about my Mandarin studies and the shows I was watching. And she was like, I want to watch a show with you. And I was like, oh my God, you have got to see The Untamed. So I watched it with my mother, like shortly after I had just finished watching it. So, yeah, after I did that, I was like, you know what? I want to learn more about The Untamed. And so I Googled The Untamed. Let me see if I am looking for my notes because I want to make sure I stay on track. Yeah, so I just finished rewatching it and then Googled it and realized it's a book. But before that, I was actually trying to like find hidden meanings of stuff like that from Chinese culture. And so I watched videos, talking about the little Easter eggs and what giving the chickens means and the this and the that, blah, blah, blah. And then I found out the book. It's a book. And that got me so excited because I love to read. Yeah. And so from there, I was like, okay, I need to buy these books. Because if the C drama was this good, the books are going to be better. That's just, usually how that always goes. So, let's begin my rabbit hole into Danmei. Yeah, and let me read a comment really quick. I guess to me it's normal. I've got a family member that's gay. I'm not exactly straight myself, so it's sort of like, yeah, this makes sense. Different perspective, I suppose. And the crazy thing is, I know someone who's gay in my family as well. Even though I'm not really close with that side of the family, but even though knowing they're gay, that didn't really change anything because most of my family is religious. And even I heard stories from, my mother that they would say, oh, he's not gay, or, he's just confused, all of that stuff. So I wasn't really around him a lot. And even in school, people didn't necessarily talk about, oh, I'm gay, or I like boys, I like girls. It was just kind of this hush hush hidden thing, you know. So I wasn't really surrounded in an open atmosphere of homosexuality. So for me, yeah, it was kind of a big deal. It was a huge deal. And so now I want to talk more just like about the difficulties that I had in reading Danmei. Yes, it was very difficult to change my perspective, and I would say it took at least 6 months. So ever since everything happened with my mother that I told you all about in the previous live, um, I've been in serious therapy. And so, of course, the only thing we're talking about is definitely not her. We're talking about a lot of things. And so when I started Danmei, I told her about it. And when I was reading Mo Dao Zu Shi, I was like, okay, I really, really like this, but I feel really, really bad and conflicted in reading this. I'm like, I don't think God would approve of this because, it's much more detailed than the C drama. And so I especially oh God, especially when we got to book 4 towards the end and they finally had their first tryst with each other. And then the 5th book with all those incense burner scenes and stuff like that, which weren't my favorite, by the way. But anyway, I felt really bad because it was one thing to see a C drama where it was soft and subtle and you could tell they liked each other, but they weren't doing too much, versus reading the book and you see that, they're stroking each other's dicks, right? Or having sex with their young selves, their past selves, from a dream. It was whole new territory. And I was like, whoa, let me take off my glasses for this one. Actually, at that point, I wasn't wearing glasses. But man, I was like, okay, what have I started? What have I really gotten myself into? And so I had to go to my therapist and talk to her about it. And I was like, I'm feeling real bad and I'm feeling real conflicted because I'm enjoying this and I shouldn't be. This is sin. This is wrong, and I'm not doing it, but I'm liking it. I'm liking something that's wrong. And so we just had so many freaking talks. And of course, she had mentioned that, some people believe that the translations of, what the Bible is actually saying is not necessarily saying homosexuality is bad. It's saying that a man wanting to sleep with young boys is bad, and blah, blah, blah. Things I've heard before, but have never really truly investigated myself. And I'm just still like, I don't know, because they're, definitely a city or whatever got destroyed and they were committing sodomy and stuff, so I was just like, I don't know. And we would have these talks like on a regular basis. It was so hard. And then at that point, I didn't even tell my husband what I was reading. It's not that I was hiding it because it was on a bookshelf, like out there for him to see if he wanted. And I was just laying on the books. I started with Modal Zusher and then I read, what did I read next? 1 second. I'm going to tell you guys what I read next because I have the exact order. Danmei I've read. Yes. And then I read Thousand Autumns and then SVSSS and TGCF. And I just kept piling these things onto my bookshelf for him to see. And mind you, I bought the Chinese TGCF books and they came with stickers and all that stuff. And I put them on the bookshelves. And I was just like, I don't know, should I be decorating like this? Should I be putting this out where my husband could see it, where it might offend him? I don't know. Therapist, should I be doing this? Like, we live in a house, a Christian household, and now I'm just kind of throwing it out in his face. Should I hide the book somewhere? I haven't even told my husband that I'm reading these books. I mean, he probably knows because my husband is just really wise and filled with so much discernment, and he knows things before I even say them, which is sometimes really scary, but it works. It works just fine. And so he said, felt the same way when I first started reading things with queer characters. It felt like taboo. Yeah. At the time, I wondered, how did they have intimate relationships? I was so well, I don't know if you're girl, guy, whatever, but I was so innocent when watching the C dramas. My eyes were open wide with Modal Zusher. He said, dang, I'm late. Love your channel. Oh, that's okay. You can always go back and watch the previous 20 minutes, but you're here now and I'm still talking. So we're all good. You're from a Muslim family, so you totally get the perspective. Absolutely. You said the smut in Modal Zusher is definitely one way to start. Yeah, I kind of started off with the, I was like, wow, okay. So, yeah, you don't know if you should laugh or cry at my story. Both? Let's do both. And so there came a point in time, when I was talking to my therapist and I was like, I feel like I'm hiding something from my husband, even though it's in plain sight. I always overthink things. And so I was like, I feel like I need to tell him that I'm reading these books and that's what this is. And so I did tell him, that I was reading the books. And I told him, I really enjoyed that show I told you about, and I decided to read the book. And after that, I discovered there's a genre of this called Danmei, indulging beauty. And I just want to keep reading it, and it's so good, but I feel so bad. And I always share with my husband what's going on in my mind, because that keeps us connected with each other, and honest. And so I was like, I feel bad, but I'm also enjoying these. And he was like, I mean, if you enjoy the books, just enjoy the books. He was like, look, the music that I listen to, some of the stuff that they be saying is very questionable and very concerning. But you don't see me like stressing out, like, oh my God, the lyrics to this song are just so, like horrible. And so he was like, it's okay. You're fine. The me listening to the music is not doing anything to my soul or anything to my spirit, because I can listen to this music and not want to go out and murder people, or I can listen to this music and not want to go out and have sex with a bunch of different women. I just want you. But I can listen to them, singing about wanting to do that and this and so many other things. And he was, like, it's entertainment. And yes, at the end of the day, so many things that we have watched have all the other sins in them as well. So why is it that homosexuality is being put up on like this big banner of the sin of all sins? So it's just like, enjoy the freaking books. Even after that conversation, it got better, because I felt like now I wasn't hiding from him anymore. But I still had struggles because of my upbringing. Like, it was just like hard to let it go. Really quickly, I'm gonna take a look at some of the comments. So, some new world opened in front of you, that kind of feeling, right? Yes, it really is a new world for me. Like, I didn't know it existed. I felt like, was I under a rock? Where was I? You said you started reading BL and Yaoi as a teenager. No. See, I was reading things I shouldn't have been reading as a teenager, erotica and stuff. They were straight. They were straight, and I got caught. So eventually I stopped. Um, and let's see, due to censorship, I find Danmei sort of softer than what I'm used to. Oh, okay. You understand that, I tried to hide it even in open circles. Absolutely. When I tell people I love to read and they would be like, oh, girl, what you reading? I'd be like, Chinese fiction, a lot of wuxia, which is martial arts, and, like martial arts elevated into like a magical realm. I would not tell them it was BL. Chinese BL. Not in the slightest. Not at all. And even to this day, I still don't necessarily tell people. It depends on who I'm talking to, and it's not even about hiding it anymore, but more so just about knowing the audience and knowing that, okay, I don't even need to go down this lane of discussion with you. So I'm just going to keep it simple and say, yeah, I'm reading Chinese fiction where there's some martial arts or, whatever, and leave it at that. But yeah, you say your husband is so understanding and really able to get where you're coming from. Really glad he was able to explain and support you that way. Yes, man, you guys, I love my husband so much because he has been like a pillar in my life, the most consistent person in my life, which is crazy. You would think it would be my parents, but whatever. He's been the most consistent, the most supportive, the most helpful, and I have been afraid of sharing things with him over these years, just as I've gone through my turmoil, because they're like the darkest parts of myself. And being afraid because I have abandonment issues, like, oh my God, if I tell him this, he's going to leave me, you know? If I tell him that, he's going to want to divorce me. But one thing I truly believe is that if you are married to the right person, you should be able to share the darkest parts of yourself with them, because we are all mixed with dark and light, honestly. But also, if you don't share those things, then you'll never get out of them, or you'll never be able to be more clear in your understanding of what's happening in your mind if you're just keeping it bottled up inside and not sharing anything. So even if it would take me some time before I tell him, I always tell him. And he's a very understanding person. Even if he disagrees with something, he can understand. And that is what I appreciate about him. So let me continue. Let me see. Okay, I reached that bullet point. Oh, I kind of said that already. I wasn't following my notes. This is why I have notes. I should have followed them. So, yeah, what I did to eventually make myself stop feeling bad about reading Danmei was to just use logic. Like, I had to. Because if I didn't, then I was just going to keep living in a world of guilt and shame. Like, I felt so much shame. Oh my God. But like I said, other shows I'm watching, they're doing all this bad stuff too. So what's wrong if I read this? You know. So then there is the next step in my journey because obviously now I don't feel bad about reading it, but I still think what I'm reading is entertaining sinful stuff. So that's the next thing to address. 1 second. Okay. So after I started just reading it and enjoying it for what it is, I was like, why, God? Why? Why is homosexuality a sin? I get why murder is a sin. If you're going around killing people, that makes sense why it's a sin. You are harming others, you're harming the hearts of the people that love them. A lot of times you're probably killing someone innocent. You are breaking the law. Okay. I can understand why adultery would be a sin because you've made a vow to someone, one person, unless you're somewhere where you can make a vow to multiple people, and then you broke that vow, broke that promise to go sleep with someone else. And you could be putting the entire marriage in jeopardy. I get that. I understand why that's a sin. I can understand why lying is a sin because you're leading people to believe something that isn't true. And depending on what you're lying about, things can get pretty gnarly. I get that. I truly do. I even can understand why serving multiple gods is a sin in this specific religion. You know, if you like, if for other religions that might worship more than one god, I get why it's not a sin. But for this specific religion, I understand why it's a sin because of how things work in your system. There only needs to be one God. Because putting other gods in it from other religions, it would just confuse, muddy the waters, you know, based on certain principles that don't align. Even though there are lots of them that do, there are certain things that don't. So I get that being a sin. Okay. But why homosexuality? Who is it hurting? Who? And so that was the question that I started to ask. And I started talking to my therapist about it because I'm like, I just don't understand why. And I'm a person that can see the logic in a lot of things. Like, even if we go back to the Old Testament, eating pork, the laws, don't eat pork, don't eat shrimp, and all the other fish in the sea, basically, that don't have scales. I even understand that because technically pork is bad for you. Shrimp is bad for you. You know, they're the bottom feeders. They're eating shit in the sea, you know? I get that. And you want our bodies are temples. So we should take care of our bodies. Totally understand. But again, why another man liking another man or another woman liking another woman? What harm is done to literally anyone at all? You know, it's like, sure, someone in the church might say, oh, you know, well, the LGBTQ, sorry if I mix up the letters, community is, you know, doing all kinds of crazy stuff nowadays. They're teaching it in schools and they're out in their pride and they're doing these crazy things and blah, 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 or snore, snore, snore. And it's like, these Christians out here be doing some crazy things too. It's not the LGBT community that's doing crazy stuff. It's some individual people or a collective group of people within the community that are doing crazy things. But that doesn't mean the entire community is just like, oh, since they're doing bad things, oh, because a lot of people, a lot of Christians do definitely have this justification where it's like, that's how you know that this is demonic, because they're crazy or they be doing a lot of bad stuff. And it's like, I mean, well, there are some Christians that be doing some things they should not be doing, some questionable things that they should not be doing. Are you guys demonic? There are some Christians out there hurting people all the time. Shoot, if anyone knows, I know. I've basically grown up going in and out of churches because of so much strife that I've seen happen to my mother. And even I've been targeted before just because I was her daughter, and have done literally nothing and had to experience the pain and hurt of, betrayal within the church. And so many people have. So it's like, are we just going to say that the entire Christian community is bad just because of a few rotten eggs? There are rotten eggs in every single freaking community. So yes, there are going to be some bad people in the LGBT community, but that doesn't mean that the community as a whole is bad. And again, how are they harming anyone? Like, that is what happens behind closed doors, the relationship. Or sure, yes, it happens in open doors if they hold hands or kiss in public or whatever, but that is a personal thing. Like, I just could not see the logic in why it was a sin, other than the scripture that people would use in I think in Genesis, be fruitful and multiply, which, if you ask me, yes, I do believe it means, populate the earth, I suppose. But I also believe that it meant to, you know, excuse me, I also believe that it meant to, study the word and then go out and spread it, multiply saved people. Not necessarily just boop, 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 popping out babies. It can have more than one meaning. And so it's like, okay, sure. They're not being fruitful and multiplying because two men together can't make a baby. Two women together can't make a baby. Blah, blah, snore. But they can get a surrogate. They can get someone to have their baby for them if they want the baby to have their DNA and not just adopt. So it's like, or the woman can find the man too, whatever. I don't know how that process goes, but because of that, and I had this discussion again with my therapist because she is a true helper. And so after that back and forth, I came to a conclusion. I no longer believed that homosexuality was a sin. Or, no, let me change that. I no longer believed that homosexuality is wrong. According to the Christian doctrine, I do believe it is a sin, according to the doctrine. But I don't like it. And I don't agree with it. And so then came the next struggle of mine. Oh, why do I have so many struggles? Okay, really quickly, let me just see. You said, my story was different. My friend asked why I'm hiding it. She told me it was completely normal. It really is. And boba tea, gnarly. Though I started with BL at a younger age, your journey is very relatable. I was raised Southern Baptist and had a similar journey. It really is a process. When what is sinful, lawful, and wrong can be different things. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much where I came to the conclusion. I was like, okay, according to this religion, it is sinful, but I don't think it's wrong. That's just me. And also that, like I said, brought on my next journey of struggles of like, okay, so now I'm disagreeing with God. I was like, man, am I saved anymore? I don't know. Because clearly the word says it, and I'm like, no, this is wrong. I don't agree with this God. You're tripping. So now I'm like, okay, is God going to be mad at me because I don't agree with him on this? And I started to question my relationship with God, which has been an ongoing thing for years. I don't know if y'all heard that, but that was so loud. Oh my God. These cars, they just be revving up and then they be like, doo, 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 going so slow. I'm like, why is your car making all that noise? You said, I don't appreciate I mean, I do appreciate that you don't deny that Christianity considers homosexuality a sin, but rather you say that you disagree with the doctrine. Yes. Yeah, because it is according to that, according to them. But if you look at another religion, they may not give two craps. Engine rev means someone's compensating for something. Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So I was already questioning things about Christianity because when I had temporarily reunited with my mother, she was no longer a Christian. And she started spewing so many things into my ear, and it really rattled my world. And it was making me feel like heavy. And on top of everything else that was going on in her household, I began to feel burdened. And there was even one time where she was having a conversation with someone else in front of me about the Bible and saying so many things against it. And I started crying because I was like, what the actual fuck? Like, I don't know. Have I believed the wrong thing all this time? Or am I crying because my mother has turned away from it? And I don't know what to believe. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And we had left the church as well because the last church we went to, I'm not going to talk about it. The point is, my husband and I hadn't been to a church in a long time. And he actually just started going back to a church because he's the music director there. And I go once a month because he asked. And I was like, I can do that. I may go twice a month. But, oh, that just reminded me of something. Okay, I'm typing it so I can remember it for later. So just for many years now, I've been struggling with my relationship, wondering, am I really a Christian if I'm like disagreeing with things in the Bible? And I'm like, okay, is there a specific scripture that says you have to believe everything is in the Bible? No. There are only two things required in order for you to be saved. Believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Lord, Jesus Christ is your savior, and you're good to go. I mean, obviously, there's really more to it than that. You need to live by the word, which ultimately I do believe I do. I'm a kind person by nature. I live with a life that's wise, in my opinion. I have discernment. I'm a good person. I'm doing a lot of good things, and I still believe. I just don't go to church, and I honestly don't study anymore, which I know are two important things. But um, yeah, I just had that battle, and I even recently actually, talked to my husband, and I was like, I just don't know if I can be considered a believer anymore because I disagree with this and I don't want to agree with it. And that's even something that made me struggle when it came to like going to church again, because I was like, if I go to church again, and the church, his church now, they haven't done it as of late, but I'm telling you guys, like the first 3 times I went, every single freaking time they would say something about homosexuality, even if it was just like one fleeting sentence and not like harping on it. And I would just be like, why? That didn't even have anything to do with your sermon. Why did you just have to briefly mention that? You know, um, or even saying something like, I remember one time I went to the church and the man, he was saying everyone is welcome into the doors and everything. He was like, even if you, a man and you come in here with your nails painted, well, you ain't walking out with your nails painted. And I was just like, first off, why? Having nails painted doesn't mean that a man is homosexual. There are plenty of men that just have that aesthetic, you know? And, it just even made me think about, okay, so all the femboys out there in the world, which I follow this one, and he's so adorable. Oh my God. But they're wearing dresses and skirts and all this stuff. And just because they're dressing that way doesn't mean they're homosexual either. So it's like now that you're just being ignorant, because there are plenty of femboys out there who still like girls, so now you're just talking about their style of dress, which is totally not cool. But anyway, every time I would go, they would just say one thing. And I was like, I don't know if I want to even go to church once a month because I don't agree with homosexuality being wrong. And I don't want my perspective to change. And this is where I really was like, nah, I don't know if I can be a Christian anymore. Because when you sit under a doctrine for a long time, you are going to believe it at some point, no matter how long it takes. And an example being, I can't remember the specific subject, but the last church we went to, my mentor, because I was getting my minister's license, she didn't agree with something that the main pastors believed in. And she told me that herself. Okay, fine, cool. Well, one day she got up to preach. And do you know what she preached? The same exact thing that the pastors did, as if she agreed. And I was like, so you agree with them on this now? And it's just kind of one of those things where you may not even realize that just because of the roof that you're under and the doctrine that you're hearing over and over and over again, eventually your spirit is going to align with what's being taught. And it's not to say that like every single freaking week all the churches are talking about homosexuality, but my brain was thinking, if I keep going to church, then maybe at some point my brain is going to revert back and think that homosexuality is wrong again. And I don't want, I mean, sinful again. And I don't want to do that because I truly don't believe, like logically, after looking at everything, that it's wrong. And then with starting my YouTube channel and everything, I was like, I don't know. Because it was one thing when I was just reading it myself, but now instead of spreading the word of God, I'm spreading I'm spreading gaiety, So it's like, is God okay with this? Would he even accept me? Would he even still love me if, I still believe in my heart and confess with my mouth that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior? If I still am being kind to people, if I'm still doing this good and that good and honoring my marriage, which is very important, and doing this and this and that. But I have a YouTube channel for people to read about gay people. And now I have a Patreon where I can actually read the sex scenes, which, by the way, I just recorded my first one. Oh my God. I'm getting off topic. And so I was, at that point, it wasn't necessarily about wondering if I wanted to be a Christian or not, but more so if God would still love me for what I'm doing now. Before I get too carried away, I think I need to read some comments. I've been seeing some pop up. So I appreciate that you don't. Oh, I read that one already. Da-da-da-da-da. I do disagree with some things in my religion too because I find it misogynistic. Absolutely, but it's not wrong. I bet there's plenty of stuff you disagreed with in the Bible, even before you started thinking about your feelings about homosexuality. So, in all honesty, not really. There wasn't anything I really disagreed with in the Bible that I had read thus far. I do know there were some things that I had read that I just did not like, but not necessarily disagreed with, but I'm just kind of like, why? You know, like for example, oh, I'll just say, I don't like the whole book of Revelations at all. In fact, when I first read it with my husband, I was so upset with God. I was like, is this really what we're doing? Just because people don't believe you? Okay. But I did get more understanding on that. Although I think I need to read it again because it's not so black and white as people think. It's like, oh, if you don't believe in God, then you're going to hell. I think it's more so along the lines of people that don't believe and they've been given the tools to believe, but not only do they not believe, they're going out and doing like really bad stuff, I think. I don't know. I need to go back and read it, but who knows when that'll actually happen. So anyway, yes. Did I disagree with it? No, because to me, it was just like telling what is going to happen. I just hated it. And I was like, God, why? Because I'm a very compassionate person. And I'm like, I don't want to see the world come to this. I'm not going to go so far as to say that people don't deserve punishment. But when I say I'm a compassionate person, even though I understand that the justice needs to be served and people need to meet, their ends or their punishments, I mean, I'm compassionate to the point that I can understand the story of and even feel a hint of like sadness for someone like Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay. Like, okay. I watched the Netflix series on Jeffrey Dahmer's story and how he grew up, the environment that he lived in. And even before he was even, out of the womb, how dysfunctional his mother and father's marriage was and what she was doing. And so getting his whole story and everything, it's like, I hated what he did. I absolutely deplore what he did. Like, it's horrible. And he needed to go to prison. He probably just needed to be executed. But even him said, girl, please. I felt like the spit is. I think so. Compassion is not, thinking that, oh, that person is okay and they can do whatever they want. But it's just being able to understand why someone does what they do. I have a natural ability to do that. I just, even if they're a horrible person, I can understand why they did what they did to a degree. To a degree. I don't, even like I said, Jeffrey Dahmer, killing the animals eventually went to killing the people. But, again, I still think he deserved to go to jail and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. But even like in the story, in the Netflix series, which I'm going to believe that this part was true. I didn't watch no, I did watch a video on what was true in the series and what was not. But like even in the end, he gave his life to Christ and wanted to wash away what he did. I mean, you can't, but he wanted to turn over a new leaf, even in the situation he was in. And then to find out that he was like brutally murdered, I was like, that's so sad. So yes, I understand that. This is when we separate the sin from the sinner. Yeah, there's a difference between understanding and excusing. Exactly. You're on the understanding side of things. Yes, I can understand the cause, but yeah, it's not an excuse. Yeah, I'm glad y'all understand what I'm saying, because I know throwing out a name like that is kind of like, oh, what? Especially for Black people, even though they're ignorant in that situation, because a lot of people think that he was a racist, but really, he went to kill people where he could afford. And unfortunately, he could afford to kill Black people because he couldn't afford to kill white people. It was too expensive to live in those areas. So it had nothing to do with race and everything to do with cha-ching. That's what Black people don't understand. And we always be wanting to make everything about race, and everything is not about race. Anyway, sorry, I digress. The reaction is still, oh girl, no, but the understanding is fair enough. Yeah, you definitely have a heart full of love for people. I do. You know, it's why I gave my mother so many chances when I shouldn't have. You know, even though she's family, so it makes sense. I got off topic. Oh, I was answering someone's comment on things that I disagree with in the Bible. No, so homosexuality was actually so far the only thing I've disagreed with. Mind you, I haven't read it from cover to cover, but there are just things in the Bible that I have disliked. Let's see. I don't know where I was after that. I mean, before that though. This is what I get. Oh, yeah. So with having my YouTube channel and my Patreon, reading this stuff, I'm like, would God approve of this? Like, would he kick me out of the community, of his community, for spreading this stuff? And I guess I still don't have an answer for that. I don't know. I really don't. I can only hope not. If everything that's going to happen at the end is going to happen, I hope I still end up in a good place. But I've just decided not to worry about it, is essentially what I have decided to do, because no matter how sure we are about our religion, or no matter how sure we are about him coming back and what's going to happen, in truth, we are all very unsure. The only thing we are sure of are the things that are literally happening in the moment. We don't know for sure who's right or who's wrong when we go to the afterlife, or if there is an afterlife. Do we hope there's an afterlife? Many people do. Like even my father, he's an atheist, but recently when I went to visit my grandpa in ICU, He was like, if there is an afterlife, I'll come find you, old man. And he was even saying, like, I hope there's an afterlife because I would love to be reunited with my family that I have lost. So no matter how sure we are, we just don't know. And the only thing that I can do is to continue to do what makes me happy. And I know that, it says, you know, seek ye first the kingdom of God, he will give you the desires of your heart, blah, blah, blah. And I know, like, being a believer is not necessarily about just doing things that makes you happy, because you could be doing things that make you happy and they are sinful or harmful to other people. But I just don't see the wrong in what I'm doing, you know? And if it is wrong, well, fuck me. I guess it's wrong. Because one thing that I do know is that I have made a difference in my own life. Like, this is something that I'm doing that I truly enjoy. Like, I've enjoyed things throughout my life, but having something that just makes me truly happy and I don't have to worry about anyone else or anything. This is like the first thing. Danmei and painting, and so I'm like, I don't want to let these things go. And I feel like, honestly, I'm like, if God were to tell me that I had to let these things go, that would be cruel. That's my personal opinion, because it's like, I love these things. And so if I'm not reading these things anymore, then what exactly are you going to give to me to fill that space? And what is worthy enough that can fill that space, for me, of the entertainment that I love. Um, so I'm like, I'm gonna keep reading. And then the other thing is, I know, which, don't get me wrong, you can make a difference positively, but still be feeding out things that are technically anti-Bible, whatever. Let's just say anti-Bible. But I know that what I'm doing is also making a positive difference for so many of you. I read you guys' comments and, see how some of you have literally said that this is your therapy, or you start your day with my readings, or how it's gotten you through work, or you were feeling so down and now you feel better. And I'm just like, I'm making a positive difference. I'm helping people. You don't have to be just a regular therapist in order to help people. I'm helping people by doing this. And I want to keep doing that. And we live in a world where everybody beats down so hard on these people that you created, regardless of their sexual preferences. And I've created a safe space for them, for the people that follow me that are in the community, and for the people that follow me that are not in the community, but maybe support them, so they can see that not everybody hates them. Not everybody thinks they're going to hell. Not everybody thinks that they are the biggest sinners in the whole world, compared to those who are cheating on their husbands and wives, compared to those who are lying all the time, compared to those who are committing mass murder in schools and churches, compared to those who are molesting children and they're Christian, so I'm just like, I'm making a difference. And I guess I didn't really I didn't really come to a conclusion, an answer, but that's okay. I think that's okay. And if there ever does come a day where I stop and I change, I really don't want that to happen. And I guess that day will come, but I don't want that. I really love Danmei. I really love, perhaps there are non BL Chinese novels that are written just as good. I could actually believe that, because even when I watch C dramas, just whatever the subject may be, they are just written in such a better way than I've seen like American things. They are so enticing in a way that I just feel these American shows I don't care about. So perhaps I could just read regular translated Chinese novels. I'm gonna be real. There's something about reading stories specifically with male to male relationships. Beautiful male to male relationships. I don't know. I really don't know. Um, Let me read some comments. I mean, you asked the same question too. Yeah. Yeah. Um, in the Bible, I don't think you would recognize family in heaven. I've heard something like that. Yes, I believe according to this religion, when we all go, we don't recognize each other as family. But I mean, we would be united. But the point is to give glory to God and sing His praises, hallelujah. So we won't recognize. But that's just for that specific religion. Some people may believe that in the afterlife you will be reunited with your family members. So my dad specifically wasn't saying from a Christian perspective, but he was just saying, I hope there's an afterlife, and in that afterlife, I'm hoping that I can find my family. But yeah, I believe we're not gonna be able to tell Adam from Eve when we get up there, or if we can, it's irrelevant. Actually, don't know. I would have to go back and read that again. Let's see. People can love God at the same time. I mean, sorry, and at the same time, view it from a sociological perspective that certain things are man made in religion. Absolutely. And yeah, there are definitely laws in the Bible that were made by men. And even in like the New Testament, certain times when Paul is speaking, he lets it be known that this is his opinion, not necessarily the word of God. Um, and you have to distinguish that. But it's so hard, especially with texts that are so old, because it's like, okay, how do I know which is from God and which is from man? How do I know people they didn't just make this stuff up? Okay, next comment. Well, all these things, all of these are the things your flesh enjoys. Yeah, exactly. Though things of this world are not enjoyed by the spirit. Exactly. And that's why I'm saying, that's why I was like, I don't know if I want to start going back to church and then, pull off the enjoyment of those things. I like these things of the flesh. But then the other part of me was like, I mean, no one can get away from that. I don't think we can live in a world where people wholly only like things that are holy only. Because if you watch a TV show and if there's even an ounce of fornication in it, which most people do, it's like, okay, well, you enjoyed that TV show. Like we are supposed to be in the world but not of the world, but at the end of the day, like we're all human and we are going to indulge in something. Um, like I just don't see anyone being 100% pure and not liking things that have black spots in them. Essentially, is it possible? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I do understand, which is why I said, even though I know I'm making a positive difference, it can still be considered wrong according to, the Christianity, because yeah, I feel good doing what I'm doing, but it's for the wrong cause. It's kind of like how they say the gifts that you are given can be used for good or for evil or for God or for, well, the devil. For example, I'm trying to think of a good example. Well, yes, I guess I'll use my example, since we're in this lane. So, from another Christian looking at what I'm doing, they could consider what I'm doing is something positive, but for the wrong team. Like what I'm doing is considered therapeutic for some people. Therapy is good, but I'm not using it for the right crowd. I should be using it for, people who are traumatized by whatever, you know, or maybe I should be a Christian counselor, whatever that is. Yeah. So yeah, it's like you can use your gift for good or bad. Like, person who has the gift of prophecy, for example, you can be a prophet for the Christian God. You can also be a prophet for something else. So yeah. Let's see. It's talking about the Bible, especially when you take into consideration errors, purposeful misdirection during translations. That makes things complicated. Absolutely. In fact, one of the things that really rocked my world when I was talking to my mother is she showed me one of her Bibles. And in the, readings before you even get to the word, they had said that they changed some things for, yes, translation, But it also, I wish I could remember the exact wording because it explicitly stated that they changed some things according to what they thought would be preferable for what the people needed to hear. So I'm like, what are those parts that you changed just to fit your preference for what you wanted people to hear? Hmm? Not to mention that what's written on the Bible are the production of its time. I mean, product of its time. Yes, that is also something to consider, which a lot of people don't understand, which is why we have so many different denominations. Like, there are still denominations that believe women should shut up. But it's like you have to think about where Paul was preaching, who he was preaching to. Not everything in the Bible is for every single person. There are specific regions of people who needed specific words. Like, even when you think about the messages that were sent to the seven churches, that is a perfect example of, like, okay, this church here, this message is specifically for you guys. This church here, this is specifically for you guys. And people a lot of times don't realize that. They just think that the whole thing in its totality is for everyone. But that's not necessarily the case, because in some cases, yeah, there may be women that need to shut up because maybe they're not saying anything good, but that doesn't mean that the whole population of women should not be able to speak the word of God and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, it's a product of the time. For example, I understand why they thought, I'm going to assume you meant abortion, maybe, because you put abortment is, let's see, it's really dangerous to abort. Yeah, so I'm going to assume you mean abort, because the B and the V are right next to each other. Yeah, it is very dangerous. Absolutely. It's more safe now, I suppose, but it is still something very dangerous. But I mean, it depends on the uh, demonization of the religion. For example, the Church of Scotland versus the Free Church of Scotland. Oh, I don't know what those are. One is very homophobic, and the other is generally accepting. Yeah. You can't just say that and not say what you changed. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, okay, I need to know what you changed. Tell me, highlight it. Don't put it in red ink because, red means Jesus talking. Put it in some other color because I need to know what it is that you changed. Oh, denomination is what you meant. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, depends on the denomination. I should have realized that when I was reading it. So yeah, I guess we're pretty up to date with where I am now. I just, yeah, I don't know. I really, truly don't know. But one thing I do know is that there's nothing wrong with asking questions, for sure. And I've asked questions and I've had doubts. And I know that people in the Bible have had doubts. Like, who was that one guy? Gideon. Yeah, he has got to do something 3 times before he finally, believed, like, okay, I'm going to do this or whatever it was. And I don't know what stage I'm at. Some stages take a long time, or some things just might not be as important as we think they are. For example, like, my husband and I, like I said, come from the same backgrounds. He is a believer. Okay. He's not a typical believer either, though. I will say that, which I love. Um, but he still believes that, yeah, homosexuality is a sin. But when I talked to him about it, he was like, I mean, there are bigger fish to fry. There are still people in the Christian community that still don't understand the freaking fundamentals. So why are we worrying about what people do behind closed doors? That is irrelevant, which is why I said, my husband's interesting. I love that, he's able to, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Well, I know what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to word it in this moment. But even with us having our, disagreeing beliefs, like, he supports me. When I first started this channel, he was like, you didn't send me the link to follow your YouTube. And I was like, why would you do that? And he was like, to support you. And I was like, babe, I'm reading gay stuff. You disagree with this. He's like, okay. He gave me a follow. And then when I made my Patreon, he was like, where's the link? Make sure you send it to me. And I was like, okay, there's a difference between subscribing to my YouTube versus like contributing money. He pledged $10. He doesn't listen to any of this. At least I don't think. I kind of want to ask him. He doesn't listen to any of the stuff, but he's supporting me. And we have our differing belief, so it's just, he's just supporting what I do, so I'm okay. I'm good where I'm at. And I absolutely love Danmei. I don't ever want to stop reading it. I'm obsessed with it. I'm a person who really likes to grab a hold of things and not let them go. And I'm very obsessive, so it's pretty much all I read, although I do splash in some other stuff. But it's pretty much all I read. And then fan fictions of that and yaoi. And, I'm good where I'm at. I'm so good where I'm at. For the longest time, I was obsessed with music and just doing music day and night for years and years and years. And now I'm on to something else. So, okay, someone threw some eyeballs at me. I need to know what the eyeballs are for. Magic Girl Marani. Let's see. Lauren said, you have an awesome husband. # relationship goals. Yes, I do. He's been so awesome this year too, because it's been such a trying year with my adenomyosis, but he's been a trooper. He's just so cute. Holy, I'm so late. NFS, yes, you are so late. Oh my gosh. You're so late. You got to catch up, Mustard. Okay. So that's so lovely. Danmei changed me. Yeah. Danmei changed me. It changed my whole perspective on life, what's right, what's wrong, what's sin or not sin, how I look toward people who are in the LGBT community. Because like I said, I'd be nice to you, I'd be kind to you, I just see you as a regular person, But as a Christian, there was always that subconscious gnawing thought, like, oh my God, they're going to go to hell. Boo! And now I honestly don't necessarily believe that homosexuals are going to go to hell. I probably need to do some more reading in that, and especially in Revelations, maybe I need to reread that whole thing. But I don't think so. I really don't think so. Let's see. It was for your husband's subbing to your Patreon where the smut is read. Yeah. I hope he doesn't listen. I hope he doesn't. I've been recording the readings for those because again, my Patreon, they are going to get it a week early. So they're actually getting it this coming Monday while you guys will get it on the 11th. And I finally read the first set of smut chapters in you. It was so cringe. So it was cringe for me in the same way that it was cringe when I first started this channel, where I didn't really like my voice and I was like, it's so weird to listen to myself read. Whereas now I do like my voice, but reading smut. For those of you who have subscribed, for those of you who will subscribe, just bear with me because it's a learning process, okay? And I have to get used to reading it and oh my God. Shoot. And I played it back. I listened to the recording and I was like, I don't know about this. Okay. Oh gosh. From Danmei to Yaoi. Yes. Also, are those ukuleles I spot in the background? Nice. Yes. So when I was in my music world, I have this. This is my very first acoustic electric guitar my husband bought for my birthday in 2017. This ukulele is a tenor ukulele that I bought. This one I won in a competition and it's so sparkling and beautiful. And that one, and that's a soprano. This one is a bass ukulele. Wait, yeah,
I think. And oh my gosh, it's my favorite one. And then on this wall here is just an electric one that kind of is like a twin. They also have names, which I don't necessarily remember them all. But this is Belleza Natan. That's Cristobal. This is Calliope. That's Keiko. That is, oh shoot. How could I forget your name? I have a document. Hold on. Hold on. Where's my document with all my babies' names? Names. String instruments names. Ah, there we are. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Calliope. Yeah. But anyway, this is. Wait a minute. Did I not put your name here? Shit, I didn't put your name. I'm so sorry. But anyway, I also have some Chinese flutes. One looks like wings, so it's called chanting. And then another one is just called Wei Ying. And another one is Lan Huan. Obviously, you can tell where those came from. I also have a cello. Oh, my electric guitar is Anshi. Anshi Adlai. Yeah. Anyway. I also have a cello, and his name is Shy Fiore. I've named all of my instruments. I have over 20 teddy bears and squishmallows, and they all have names as well. I'm telling you, when I really like something, I become obsessed with it. So that's so good with the Danmei. But yeah, those are mine. I don't play them anymore. I only played them when I was doing my music. I've released like 3 or 4 albums and an EP, a couple of singles. But I've closed that chapter in my life and am focusing on painting. So yeah, those are mine. You said baritone. That's what I meant to say. It's a baritone ukulele. They're so pretty. I actually painted that one too. You've got 3 right now. Yeah. I also have a keyboard. Her name is Kiki. I always put thought into them. So even though that sounds like such a simple name, I swear it has purpose. It just means like Kiki, Kiki, means home ruler. And she was my first. So, but yeah, all the names have meanings. You said Lan Wangji named the second flute. Clearly. Yeah. How long have you been painting? So my very first painting was done November the 9th of last year, I believe. Yeah. But I literally only did that uh, November the 9th and then November the 14th. But I started seriously this year. So there was one month, it was the month of May actually, that I essentially didn't paint at all because it was a lot going on. But I've been painting a lot. I shared some paintings in my last live, but I didn't show my newer paintings because the thing was far away from me. So I can show a couple. 1 second. Okay. So this is a painting I did. Oh, the ring light. From following Hazel Sohn. She's a famous watercolor artist, and I was moderating her class, but decided to paint along. This is upside down. This is me. I titled it I Never Learned How to Scream because honestly, I've literally never screamed in my entire life, but I was feeling a lot of pain. Here's some more. This was instructed by another artist. Her name is Lorraine Simmons. She's amazing. Wait, wrong way. I just redid it. This is my niece. I love her so much. Oh my God. I almost ruined this painting, and so I had to chop off the ruined part to make it not ruined. I didn't like this one, but that is what it is. That's me on the very first day that I was able to walk again, like outside for exercise. Oh my God. This is my sister when we went to see some weird knitted art. And then this was a value study I did. And this is the second attempt, which is, oh, nope. My very first painting that I am 100% proud of. When I tell you guys it looks like her, oh my freaking God. This is abstract. I created this painting after my sister, who's 20, told me that she was talking to our mother one day, and she told her that sometimes my kids just make me want to kill them all. I was like, great. That's lovely. So I was feeling pained and upset and everything. So I just kind of threw the brush on there. These are some other things I did. I don't know. Nope, I'm going the wrong way. Oh, this was my first attempt. And then I didn't like it because at the bottom, my husband thought that was a purse. So I did it again. Oh my gosh. And this is just, don't pay attention to that one. This isn't just letting the brush flow. And now the painting I'm working on, I haven't finished it yet, and I'm doing 2 copies. Why? I don't know. It is me and my sister when she came to visit me. So that's what I've been on. Whew. Anyway, so lovely. Those are so cool. Thank you. I love your more abstract C one. Thanks. What's the tip you would give for painting beginners? Oh man, that's such a crazy question to answer because I still feel like a beginner myself. But I guess if I had to give advice for beginners, I would say, it is perfectly okay to not have a voice yet. When you first start out painting, of course, you're going to copy people because, I mean, what else are you going to do? But some people may feel conflicted about that because they're like, oh, I need to know my voice. I need to know my sound because I don't want to just look like the spitting image of this artist or that artist. But my tip is copy them. It's fine because you're still in the learning stages. But a more practical tip, let me see. Specifically for watercolor painting, my tip would be use more pigment, and use more water, which is something I've been having to learn. I mean, water and color are in the title, but sometimes I'd be like, oh, is this too much water? Is this too much pigment? The only way you'll ever find out is if you use more of them. And over time, you'll learn like, okay, I need to use less water or more pigment in order to, do this first wash or this second wash or the shadows or something. So yeah, don't be afraid to use more water and to use more pigment. And don't be afraid to make mistakes because water is really hard to control. You can kind of control it, but you can't, and the last piece of advice I would give, well, this brush is awful because the hairs were coming out, so I need a new one. But depending on what size your paintings are, always start with the biggest brush possible because your first layer is going to be just like getting the colors on. You're not doing the tiny details and stuff yet. So use the biggest brush possible to get that first layer in instead of worrying about details right away. NFS says, I think the best tip in art I ever got is just start. Yes, doing it will get you further than never starting. And OMG, watercolor is hard. Yes, it is. Oh, it's so hard. Yeah, just start. Even when you don't know what to paint, then just paint. Like the piece that I did, this one, I just put the thing on the paper. What is it? I don't know. But it was fun. And as I continue, like, this is awful. I don't know what this is. It's like an abstract piece, but it'll get better. I hope. But yes, miles on the brush. That's not originally me saying that. Someone else said that. But they said just put miles on the brush. Paint, 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 paint. It's not about seeking inspiration, even though I definitely like to paint things that speak to me because those paintings typically turn out better. But inspiration is for amateurs. And even though you may be just starting to paint and technically an amateur, mentally you don't have to be an amateur. You don't have to look for inspiration. You can, even if you are literally picking up the brush and you're like, okay, today I just want to mix colors together to see what colors they make. That's good. you're understanding your colors more. Miles on the brush. So yeah, just start. Just do it. That's the best advice I have. Anyway, that kind of went down a lane I wasn't expecting. Yeah, that's pretty much my story and where I am now. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. Because we've got time. If y'all have questions, I definitely don't mind answering them. At most, when I go live, I'm like, I can go up to 2 hours. That's cool. Even though my water jar is empty, I should get my husband to fill it for me. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys have questions about my journey or literally about anything else, that's perfectly fine. So I will give you all a second to type questions if you have any while I text my husband. Hey, comma, can you come get me some water? I have my jar. What is this? It's not a jar. This is a lifesaver. I have my thingy. That's what I'm going to call it because I don't remember the name of it. Okay, he says, are you watching Revenged Love or ABO Desire? Hey, just shush him out. Okay. This works too. Thank you. Purified water, blue can, 50-year shelf life. How many years did your dad have this before he gave it to us? No, I'm kidding. This is Army water or whatever. Okay, I got water. So, no, I have not started watching Revenged Love, even though I plan to. But right now, I'm reading Legend of Zanghai. So, and that's with Xiaojian. I haven't finished that. Watching has been a slow process for me. So, I need to finish that and then I'll move on. Also, have you seen the trailer for Kill to Love? I'm so excited for it to air. I haven't. So let me type it so I can remember. Kill to Love trailer. And I'm going to type Revenge Love just so I don't forget about it. And then ABO Desire. Is ABO Desire like Alpha, Beta, Omega? What does it stand for? What is that? Okay, anyway. It's a cistern jug. I think I'm going to call it the thingy. That's an efficient name. Yeah, cistern jug. Okay, let's see. Kind of off topic, but will you be posting Remnants of Filth? So yeah, okay. Hi, late person. Now I'm calling you out. Yes, wet, moist, purple Barney gloves. Hi, I will be reading Remnants of Filth. I'm actually recording the last few chapters of Volume 1. It will air on August the 11th on this platform on YouTube, and it will be filtered. So all of the NSF stuff will not be on YouTube, but it will also be on my Patreon, in which you will get the smut scenes. So my Patreon is $3 a month. And you get everything 1 week early, all the NSFW scenes, and 2 live readings per month. And that has nothing to do with me just like going live on random subjects such as this one. That will be on the YouTube and the Patreon as well. So yes, we are starting Remnants of Filth. I'm so excited, also scared because trauma. It's going to be traumatizing. What's your favorite non-Asian BL? So I have no idea because I've never watched non-Asian BL. Before my journey, I barely knew that LGBTQ content existed, period. So when I first found it out, it was just from Danmei. Now I have watched, Chinese BL, Japanese BL, although I didn't really like that one thing that I watched, and Thai BL, even though I'm not really a fan of the Thai BL. So I haven't watched any non-Asian. Stacey, I enjoyed the talk. Thanks for sharing your experience. It made me feel better about my own struggles as well. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That's really good to hear. If anything, I mean, aside from just telling you all, it is something that I was hoping, could help other people that are in similar situations, because we are never going through anything alone. Even if we feel like we are, because maybe we don't hear from other people, there's always someone else going through the same struggle. So I wanted to share with you guys, what's your favorite Danmei and C drama? Oh man. So for those of you who were in my last live, y'all know what my favorite Danmei is. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it. 千秋, $1,000. That is my number one freaking favorite Danmei of all time. Look, she said, we know. Yeah, well, sure. Yes. See? They know. It's just, oh, it's so good. I love it so much. And it's one of the reasons why Peerless is definitely going to be my number 2 favorite. Because, I mean, how could it not? Okay, yes, it's Alpha, Beta, Omega. Now I really want to watch that. So now my favorite C drama. Well, it's between Joy of Life, season 1, because I didn't finish season 2, with Zhang Ruoyun, and My Heroic Husband. I love it so much. So Joy of Life is actually a transmigration, which you should totally look at. This man who was dying in his hospital bed in his modern life ended up being put into a baby in ancient China, which is really cool. But he has he's a part of a family that's tied into so many political schemes with the emperor and so many things going on. And you watch him just want to live an ordinary freaking life, but he has no choice but to be involved in these things. So it's definitely something I encourage you all to watch. It's so lovely. Oh, something else that is my favorite with Zhang Zhuoyun. Hold on. He's my favorite Chinese actor, by the way. I am going to make sure I give you the right title because I have my list. Top Chinese, Asian TV shows, Mandarin shows. Here we are. All of my favorite shows are highlighted. Ah, yes. Awakening of Insects. So this is actually around the time, like 1941 time of China, when they're fighting against Japan and everything. But, oh, it's so intense. This agent, I can't remember which Chinese party he was part of, but he ended up dying, and then the Japanese people found someone who looked exactly like him. And so they made him learn everything about that person and basically become him and send him back to the Chinese people to be, their inside man. But you just watch him try to navigate this to keep his sister, who he takes care of, and his father, who is basically mentally gone and his sister's blind. He tries to keep them protected while at the same time not trying to be on, the Japanese side of things. And the acting in that is so good. Ooh, man, you're making me want to watch it again. Anyway, that's really good. I'm sorry, before I get, oh man. Let's see. Are you making your recordings available for download on Patreon? If so, would you upload readings for the books you've already done? So on my Patreon, you should be able to download them because I'm uploading them as audio only. Because since my Patreon is for 18 plus, it doesn't allow you to post videos. You can only post audio, or if I do post a video, it has to be a link from YouTube, because then I guess with that, it would be considered safe. So you can download them. Will I upload the readings of books I've already done? I've thought about that. Maybe that is something I will do. Just over time, slowly put them on there, but they are available on YouTube. So I'm kind of like, do I want to do that? Also, 1 second, I need to pull this thing off here and just go to one screen because my battery is getting low, and I don't want to lose you guys. So yeah, I may do that. Maybe. It's gonna be a lot. I have now, I'm aware I have like 200 videos. So that's gonna be a lot. Have you watched Sense8? No, I haven't. Hold hold on a second. I have not watched that. Let me exit out of this. But give me like a 2-sentence summary, and I'll see if I'll add it onto my list. Yeah, we do have our Yen Wuxia Appreciation Society as well. Still trying to figure out who's going to lead that, because it won't be me. I've got too much going on. Yes. Let's see. Joy of Life was surprisingly fun. Yeah, I really need to watch the second season, but it wasn't hidden as hard as the first one. And crazy, I actually started reading the web novel and got to like chapter 233 or something. And I just stopped. It has over 700 chapters. I should continue reading it, but I probably won't. So yes, SVSSS and Thousand Autumns are my faves. Yeah, says Susan. I love Shen Chao's character development. Absolutely. Peerless is hilarious. Hope Seven Seas translates their other works. Yes, I actually really would like for Seven Seas to translate Estranged. It's another Shitsuan one. Yeah, I mean, not another, because I don't know how many they've done, but just in the grand scheme, it's a Shitsuan love one. But I was reading a fan translation, and it just didn't sound like Monk Sure. It didn't sound like even, the translator that they use, and I had to stop. The story sounded really interesting, but the translation was just god awful. So it was just no. Have I watched Dream of Splendor? That is, hold on. Okay, no, that's not the one I thought it was. I feel like everything y'all ask me, did you watch this? Did you watch this? So for years, all I did watch was C-drama. But for the past 2 years, I actually had not watched it just because of, some stuff that I don't want to talk about because that was my last live. But I had taken a pause on like all things Chinese, essentially. So I actually need to catch back up. But no, I have not seen Dream of Splendor. I should though, right? Is that what you're telling me? Winking at me. You said you also want other Monkshoe works translated. Yes. All right, thanks for letting me know. Like downloading Podfix and reading where I can, because I like just having it on my MP3 player. Oh, okay. So I'd appreciate it. But IDK, if anyone else is, I'm sure there are plenty other people who want me to allow them to be downloaded. But with that being said, though, I'm assuming you don't have to tell me. I'm assuming you're gonna go over to my Patreon. Yay! So I haven't gotten to Thousand Autumns yet, but I'm excited about it. Feel like Shen Chao would be a favorite of mine. Shen Chao is my favorite. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Yen Wuxia in his evolution, but if I had to pick a favorite character, it would definitely be Shen Chao. Yen Wuxia plays part in like my, I don't know what other way to call it. I'm gonna just say like my horny, fangirly, crazy side. Even though I know, like, I love his transition, but there's just something about Shen Chao. Yeah, he's just so awesome. I love him I love him just as much as I love like Xilian. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Still need to finish Thousand Autumns. Yeah, I finish it. Busy these last few months, but should finish it soon. Yes, and I am here to help you. I am reading Peerless and haven't read TA yet. Now I'm more excited to start it. You should be. If you're reading Peerless and you love Peerless, it's just gonna be just as good with them. So go ahead with Yen Wuxia and Shen Chao. Someone said, I'm sure you'll love Yen Wuxia. Yeah, oh man. Okay, so yeah, if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to ask, because I don't really have anything else to say, but I have more things to say if you have more questions. So I'm going to show you guys my phone screen, I guess, really quickly since we're talking about, let me move my, hold on, you might not be able to see it. Yeah, can you? Yeah. Who's that? Beautiful. Let's see. Has there been any Danmei you didn't like, and what has been your least favorite? So a Danmei that I didn't like and was my least favorite was Guardian. I didn't even finish it. I read volume 1 for you guys, and then I was like, I cannot continue. So that's a 2-in-1 answer for you right there. But My least favorite Danmei of all the Danmei that I've read, I don't remember what I said in my last video, but Danmei I've read. I think my least favorite Danmei that I have read was probably The Missing Piece. Who was that by again? 1 second. The Missing Piece, Danmei, was written by Kunyuelo. Yeah. That was just not good to me. I feel like the translation and the way the story was written, it wasn't well written. The story itself, I could have possibly gotten along well with, but honestly, when I was reading, I got slightly confused. And I was like, I don't think I want to read this again to get a better understanding, but the writing was subpar. That's probably my least favorite of all that I've read. Um, and then we have Have you ever read Kaleidoscope of Death? It's my top favorite Dame. So, haven't read that one, but it is in the schedule for next year, which I'll be posting something in the community soon so you guys can see, because the voting stopped yesterday for the first 4 series that will be read in the year. And Kaleidoscope of Death is on there. So, we will be digging into that together. And he said, I love a forehead kiss. Yeah, that screensaver. Yes. Are you going to read The Husky and His White Cat Shih Tzu? Okay. So I'm going to answer this question and then I'm going to make a recommendation for you. The answer is no. I will not be reading it. The recommendation is please go to my channel and watch important channel updates 1 and 2. I believe they're in their own playlist. It will explain to you the series I will not be reading on my channel and why I won't be reading them. And then the update 2 lets you know, well, actually you don't have to watch update 2. Update 2 is just me saying anything that contains smut will be read on my Patreon. But Arha will still not be read by me because I've already read it once. I'm rereading it now and on book 7. But in order to read it on my channel, I would have to start over. And I don't necessarily want to read it a 3rd time. So I won't be reading that one. I'm so sorry. So many people have requested that one. And part of me is like, maybe I can try. But I don't want to do it. You said, Guardian is probably your least favorite as well, but you liked volume 1. Yeah, I just wasn't feeling the connection between the characters, caring about the plot. There was no single character that I was super invested in. Is there a trope or situation that really makes you want to DNF a book? That's a great question. I don't think there is a trope that I've read yet that makes me want to DNF a book. Man, a situation that would make me want to DNF a book. I would say something that would make me want to DNF a book is probably if one of the main characters just always seems so helpless and like weak and fragile and incapable of doing anything. And then a person just comes along and, oh, my savior. Yeah, I think I would hate that. Like, even when we look at situations like Thousand Autumns, where Shunsha was weakened, he wasn't weak, though. You know, he had a strong mind, and even in dangerous situations, he was able to defend himself. So I'm really not a big fan of like the helpless little Rapunzel, let down your hair and I'll save you, Cinderella, I'm gonna take you from your step parents kind of thing, and I got you. I'll save you from the bad guys because you can't do anything else. Really don't care for that. So that would probably make me want to DNF a book. Not saying that I would. I could potentially still read it. And then just another situation that would make me want to DNF a book is if I am not interested in any of the characters. If there is no one at all that stands out to me, or if the plot just seems really boring after about 60 pages, I'm gonna consider DNFing. Like I will still keep reading though, because I like to give to have the halfway mark of any book or fanfic that I read, well, depending on how long the fanfic is, before I say, okay, no more. No more of this crap. um, let's see. Whoops. Any fanfic recommendations? I can give you fanfic recommendations. Is there let me see. I've got plenty. So I just gave my recommendation for SVSSS, which is How to Train Your Shunshin Chu. I really love that one. It's basically like an extension of the official series because it's now the original Luo Binghe going back to bother Shen Yuan and Bing Mei to figure out how to bring his OG Shen Qingqiu back because he's completely gone. He's completely shattered. He's dead. And he's trying to figure how to bring him back so that he can get him to be like Shen Yuan. And so you get this story like Shen Yuan and Bing Mei do come up a couple of times, but it focuses really on Bing Ge and what this, I guess, just like a summary. He ends up going back in time using Xinhua to go back in time and place Shen Qingqiu in a different environment for to hopefully get him to grow up with more love in his life or more stability and less of what he experienced before, hoping that that will change fate. And he finds out that some things are just inevitable, but both of them have to get over it. I really, really love that one because you get to see Shen Qingqiu and his personality throughout the whole thing. And oh, I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of a simp for Shen Qingqiu in that one. So that is one that I strongly recommend. Let's see. Another one that I recommend, which I'll say the last 2 or 3 stories were kind of weird, but a TGCF thing that I recommend is Adventures with the God of Misfortune and Crimson Red. Overall, that was a pretty good read. I read it so long ago, I really don't remember everything about it, but they do have an OG character that becomes like the child of Huacheng and Xie, and it's a cute story overall. Like I said, after some point, things kind of went crazy, but I overall would still recommend it. Let me see. We're going to go to my fan fictions from. I should just have a separate fan fiction list. I'm going to try to give one more. So read this at your own risk of disappointment. But I'm still going to talk about it because it was so good just until like the last few chapters. This is another SVSSS fanfic recommendation. Like I said, this one is my crack that I just like snort every now and then. But Cultivate. Slow life on a monster infested mountain. And I'll try to remember to put these just like in the community and have the links for them. But it's by Neon Ghost Cat. And basically, in this one, the system, Shen Yuan was dying, and the system was trying to put him into Shen Qingqiu's body. But something happened, and Shen Qingqiu was actually aware of it happening and pushed him out. So Shen Yuan ended up being his own person. And when he turned into his own person, he was near a mountain. And so he ended up going onto this mountain and essentially being like stuck on that mountain. And it's a Liu Qingge and Shen Yuan fan fiction. But Shan Qingqiu is like, what demon tried to possess me? And he's trying to find out where this is because, it's dangerous. And Liu Qingge ends up on this mountain and he meets Shen Yuan, and you watch the love story between them, but also like the sect being like, who is this Shen Yuan? Why does he know this and that about, what's going to happen in the future and stuff. It's a cute little story. And you see the connection between Shen Qingqiu and Shen Yuan because when Liu Qingge saw Shen Yuan, he thought he was Shen Qingqiu. So they're twins. It's a really, really good read. And it is 1,023 123,550 words in 20 chapters. So I was highly disappointed with the last few chapters, but man, the world building in the beginning of this mountain that he was trapped on and everything else was just so good that I'm gonna recommend it anyway. Okay. I think I'm trying to see if I can get one more. Okay, I think I'll stop there with the fanfic recommendations. The rest of the fanfics are all MHA. So if you want those, I mean, I can give those too. But let's see. Good translation can do so much for a book. Absolutely. Let's see. Piggyback on what's a trope or subgenre you really love? What makes you want to pick up Danmei? So honestly, a trope that I really, really love is the Schutzhund tropes. But more than that, I really love transmigration, and I try to like read really, really good transmigration books, but it's hard to find because isekai and transmigration, whatever, it's so oversaturated, and it's hard to find good stories. And so like SVSSS is the main one that I've read. And when I asked some friends, I was like, anybody else got some like good transmigration stories? Because I need them. And so I was recommended Devil Venerable also wants to know. And they were like, it's not necessarily transmigration, but he has the book of their world. So, you know, I tried with that. But I love transmigration. I would like to have more. Like, I really enjoyed How to Survive as a Villain, aside from the last 10 chapters. I think it was 10. I don't know what that was, but it was cool. I really liked Disabled Tyrant's Beloved Pet Fish. I would say transmigration is probably my favorite. And what makes you want to pick up Danmei? Well, the stories. Yeah, to me, I've never read like just regular Chinese novels. So when I went from reading just like regular American novels to reading Danmei, the writing, the approach to storylines, and even just the way things are written is so different to me that it continuously makes me want to pick up Danmei because it's just written so well, so beautifully. And I love all things Chinese culture. So reading how they infuse that into their stories is what makes me want to pick up Danmei. And then obviously, who doesn't love to read about two gay men? So there's that. No, the comments are going too fast. Wait, I think my comments have gone. Oh, you missed the other stream. Well, I'm glad, Rumi, that you were able to come to this one. Let's see. Gay Watch is currently doing our hot readings. Yeah, so I was actually going to go to Gay Watch's channel and have them read Guardian Volume 2 and 3 to me to see if maybe I just like it better if someone else read it and not me. I just haven't gotten around to doing that. But I also know that they do live readings every single time. And I believe they're talking like in between. And I just don't like that kind of stuff. I prefer to have you read the story to me. Actually, you could just read the story and not talk at the end. But if you're going to talk, I prefer to be at the end. So I probably won't look into them. But I do recommend people to go, to them if they wanted to finish Guardian. And for Magic Obsession Potato or Magic Potato Obsession, I don't remember, if they want someone to read SVSSS to them. Who is your favorite Danmei Schutzhund? Well, at this current moment, we're going to say it's Shan Qingqiu. Yeah, that's my favorite Schutzhund at this current moment. I would have said Chu Wanning, but I just like the personality of Shen Yuan, technically, a lot better. He's not as serious, and he's funny. Chu Wanning is more serious and strict and traumatized for obvious reason. But yeah. Let's see. Oh, hold on. You said that would be boring, both in Danmei and romance in general. Let's say Danmei in general. I'd love for a video for of recommendations for you for fics, C-dramas, and other media. Yeah, I have that on the roster for me to do. I have a little Google Doc of live videos or just regular videos that I should do, and that's on there. I'm going to get to it, I promise. Let's see. What's the most challenging part of being a Danmei content creator? Honestly, nothing. Like the most challenging part for me, I guess, would be reading in the midst of my health issues, which have actually progressed a lot better. But as far as like generic Danmei content creator struggles, I haven't had any. Like when I first created this channel, before the Facebook group I was on changed their rules, I made a post and was like, hey, I got this YouTube channel. And then everybody ran over and I got to 100 people pretty fast. And then after that, it's just been word of mouth, you guys spreading and people searching and looking. And the channel has been growing, but I haven't had any challenges with this channel at all. I haven't had to filter through comments, which I know as we get more and more people, that will be a thing. I've had an easy enough time responding to everyone. So yeah, the hardest thing right now would just be navigating my energy levels with me having my adenomyosis, and sometimes that affects my sleeping patterns or like the pain that I feel. So I'm like, oh, I want to read, but I need to be like this. And then being in school and stuff. So other than that, I'm not having any challenging things at all. Like it's pretty easy to maintain this. And I think even with my Patreon, it'll still be easy to do. I mean, hopefully one day I can get someone on my team to help me do things so I don't have to worry about. Like I would love to have someone who could upload the stuff for me and I could just worry about the reading, especially now that I have Patreon and have to like go and edit out the sex scenes and stuff like that. Um but yeah, if I could have some like just one person on my team, I think that'd be great. But that'll come eventually. Let's see. SBSSS Fix are flavorful. Yes, they are. They have all the salt and pepper and all the other seasonings that we need. Garlic powder, onion powder, you name it. Um, let's see. Wait, isn't it like 400,000 words and 55 chapters? That's what I found. Um, what the fic that I mentioned, the How to Train Your Shunshin, yeah, it's about 4 books worth of content. So honestly, when I track the books that I read, when I'm reading something that's 120,000 words plus, based on the standard size of books, I actually break it up, like divide it by that number, and see how many books worth that would be and count that as a book. So when I read that, I counted it as 4 books because it was 4 books worth. Yeah. Um, let's see. I am weak for a good cover. Oh yes, I love a good cover. That's the other thing I really love about Danmei. The covers that they have, I've just never seen on the covers we have today. You know, and like in America, honestly, our covers are kind of boring. They are so boring. Um, let's see. When I was fic hunting yesterday, I saw a fic in which Shen Yuan transmigrates into Shen Qiao's body. Interesting. I don't know how that would work out. She doesn't talk in between very much. Oh, that's good to know. For Gay Watch, I'm assuming is who you're talking about. Okay. Well then knowing that I'll go give them a chance with maybe not Guardian, maybe with someone else. Tough questions are being asked today, and that's totally fine. I'm here to answer them. A comment here or there. Okay, that's good to know because there is someone else I watch. I don't remember their name, but she stopped too much for me. Not to mention her volume, which I get it because I had volume issues when I first started my channel, but hers has been longer than mine. Her volume is kind of too low for me, and the reading isn't as enthusiastic as I would like it to be. And so I was like, I can't get with you. So technically, Shun Chao is also a Shitsuin. I mean, yes, technically, but to the little kiddos, yes, absolutely. Oh, for the cultivation mountain one, probably so. I was looking on my phone on this list, and I probably just looked at the wrong thing and said it was the wrong amount of numbers. Let me see. Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess I did copy and paste the wrong word count, and I need to go fix that then. Ooh. Yeah, it is 461,000 words and 55 chapters, you guys. It's a long one. I like to find long fan fictions. So I'm gonna just like, I don't like reading short stuff. I will, but I prefer not to. I want to feel like I'm going through a whole book. It's why I prefer TV shows to movies, because I spend more time with it. I love that so freaking much. Um, love Seven Seas covers. I do as well. Beautiful art in West books became soup sludge. They're so basic, you know, like, especially when I look at all these book talk books and people are like, this book, this book, this book. And the video I recently did when it was like, show me your prettiest book in this color, that color. The person I got that from, I was looking at their book covers and I was like, wah, wah. I was like, these are so boring. Let's see. NFS says, I'm sorry, not NFS. Rumi says, if you could interact with any Danmei author, who would it be and what would you ask? So this was a question that was asked in the last live, and it was Monk Shishir. Yeah, I'm a simp for Monk Shishir. So I would want to know more details on their writing of Thousand Autumns, and if they originally intended for such a shift to happen in Yen Wuxi, and just the growth in Shunshao as well from, you know, him and his Dao path. I would want to know what was intentional and what just kind of happened as they were going along with the story. I think that would be really cool. Okay, you said Gay Watch does talk, but it's always interesting and funny. Yes. Oh, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I probably wouldn't read a fan fiction on it though. Yeah, probably not. Let's see. Same for long stories too. The intonation is very good for Gay Watch. That's good to know if that's what you're talking about. Wait, because I just can't with people that are just reading the story kind of like this, you know. And if someone was like, they're like, actually, there's one person I know, they even like kind of skipped over things like that, and I'm like, what are you doing? Read what's in the book. So, oh my gosh. In my head, I read completely flat. Her SPSS streams helped me to understand the tone of the smut. Yeah, that would be very helpful. Me randomly penning my ballot books, perfectly normal. I need to get on reading those, but that will actually be the opening of next year. It had the most votes in this vote and the previous vote. So yeah, love Danmei because the extras themselves are basically fan fiction. You know, actually, when it comes to the extras, I'm usually not really a fan of extras that much. I'm kind of just like, meh. Like once the story comes to a close, the extras to me are kind of so, but I still read them. Some of them are good and some of them are to me not so good. Um, you're terrible at reading out loud. Yeah, I mean, it's something that you have to get used to because I honestly felt like in the beginning I was kind of terrible, and it's sometimes I still feel terrible, and it's something you just gotta like get used to if it's something you want to do. Um, Man, for me, sometimes some days are more difficult than others, and I struggle a lot more. Which, when we do the live sessions, you'll be able to get all of my bloopers and everything on Patreon. And see, like sometimes my tongue gets tied, and I'm just like, like I'm like, hold on, I need to go back and read that again. Um, but yeah, it's interesting the process. Are you going to read more Monk Teacher? Maybe. I definitely won't be reading Estranged because the fan translation I found sucked. But I do know she has another one. What is it called? I don't remember what it's called. I want to read that one first, the fan fiction, before I pick it up. So if I like that, then I'll potentially read it, but I just don't know when because next year's schedule is almost filled. And I just don't know. I don't like to plan too far out ahead. Like we're going to next year, like to the halfway mark, and then we'll figure out things as we get there. If you get a spoiler accidentally, does it ruin the story for you? No, it doesn't. It does make me sad that I can't like experience it and know and in the not knowing form, but it doesn't completely spoil it. Like, I'm still going to read because I'm still going to enjoy the building up to getting there. But I do prefer to not be spoiled at all. Let's see. Fan translated ones. Hold on. I have to go back to what your comment was. Were you the one who asked me if I was going to read fan translations? I think. Yeah, fan translations, because it was, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, it would have to be fan translations because as far as I know, there aren't any more of their works that are being officially published. But if they come out, then I will be reading them. Best believe, if it's written by Monk Shisher, I'm reading it. I will stop the world and read it. Okay. So I think that's enough for today. But before I go, I do want to ask you all a question. It was actually a question I put in one of my Yuwu recordings, but since we're here now, I'm going to ask and then see what you guys think. So while I'm reading, I've been thinking, I'll answer that question. I've been thinking about how I'm going to approach future series, as far as you know how sometimes, not all the times, it just depends on how I felt about the book. I'll do a like oh, my battery's low, my favorite aspects on this book or that book. I want to continue doing that for stories I feel like deserve it, but I was also thinking about, for series, doing like a video of a summary of those books and maybe narrowing it down and talking about my favorite aspects on that book in general, and you know what really stood out to me and what I think that means for, you know, the next book or what we can anticipate. It was something I was thinking about doing, I guess not in the same fashion because I'm not them. I am my own person and do things my own way. But if I had to relate it to a YouTube channel, I would say like Kictor's channel. How crap. Why can't I remember her girlfriends? Are they fiancés now, right? Her girls, how she does little summaries and be like, okay, this is what the book is about. Like, I'm not going to be as goofy and silly as them and all that stuff, but I think Stitch, thank you so much. I was like, freak, what is her name? But I thought about doing that because for some people, they may want to know before just getting into the story, like, okay, what am I getting into? At least when they, you know, if they come later, but also just to, you know, and break it down, because the longer a series gets, the longer my favorite things or favorite aspects about this book, I feel like the longer that video would be. But if I can shorten it into smaller videos as we go along, I think that would be beneficial. So, yeah. Let's see. What was that question? What's a Danmei novel you wish had an official translation but doesn't yet? So yeah, that is actually going to be Estranged by Monk Shisher, because like I said, that's another Shitsuan one, and I was reading the story. I got to like chapter 40 something, and actually, yeah, I think I got to the halfway mark, and I was really invested in the story itself. But because of the way that it was written, I was just like, I can't get with this. Like, it sucked. No offense to that person. Oh, that's so mean. That sounds so mean. It wasn't up to par with my standards. How about I say it that way? Yeah. So if that could be officially translated, your girl will be a happy camper. Um, but yes, like the fish book. So, well, not necessarily like the fish book. Yes, I do my favorite aspects, but I'm talking about doing like a summary in between for every single novel. So I've actually started making notes on You Volume 1, all of my notes, and I'm putting them into Chat GPT to kind of help me organize them and everything and go over specific, you know, themes and stuff. That way I can make a video just for volume 1, and then just for volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, volume 5, volume 6, and then probably not volume 7. I'll talk about volume 7 when I do that final favorite aspects of the Yuwu series in its entirety. So that's more along what I mean. And it would be awesome if you could do it live. Then we can also engage with you. Okay. So even in doing the split ups, just do them live. Okay. Yeah, sure. I definitely watch those kinds of videos for sure. I love discussion videos. I love book analysis lives. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I was thinking about, should I just pre-record them and put them up or go live? But now it seems like you guys want to go live. So that is definitely something that we can do here and on Patreon at the same time. Do it live, please. That's how I'm reading your comments since it's in all caps. A lot of people don't know Danmei isn't a genre per se. Yeah. So it will help them. Sorry, I lost the comment. Start somewhere. They vibe with. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, I think for those who are already in Danmei or already reading the book with me, it would be fun to discuss. But for those who maybe haven't read a story yet, when they see the video, they'll be like, "Ooh, let me click on this and see." And I'll try to well, I'll say there'll probably be some spoilers. That'll be inevitable, obviously, with doing like a review of the book. But hopefully it won't be anything that is like, oh my gosh, she's deterred me from reading it with all these spoilers. But yeah, okay. So thank you all for answering that question. You're gonna hear it come up again in the Yubu recording because it's already there, but you can just ignore it and everybody else can answer, I guess, who's not here. Perhaps a slightly weird question. Any chance of starting a Discord server for this channel / community? Probably not. This is not in my thought right now. Any questions about me doing anything outside of YouTube and Patreon for the time being is probably going to be a non-starter because I'm in school, which I do graduate at the end of this year, essentially. But I'm in school, I have my job, I'm doing my paintings, which I'm trying to be more serious about because I want to open up therapeutic arts for the company I work for. And then doing this. So it's a lot. It's just one of those things, like I said, if I am able to develop a team one day, then maybe that is something I can look more into because I just don't want to overwhelm myself and then burn out and then stop this channel. I really wanted to continue to thrive. And so where I know some people may have stuff on every single thing, but this is their life. Whereas for me, I have a life outside of this. Like this isn't my income, even though I will get some from Patreon. So I don't necessarily have the time to dedicate so freaking much to this. So yeah. Also, before you go, please start a Discord. Sorry. I guess my answer is just like that. But and then I even found out about YouTube's community now. And so trying to engage more with that and stuff. So for now, this is where we are. I will watch a video at least on Discord to see what it's like because I've never been on Discord before and see if it's something that we can start in the future. In the near or far future, I do not know, but I'm hearing you guys. And we're just going to take things one step at a time. I really want to make sure that there's sustainability and longevity in this channel rather than trying to do so many things in so many other places that there's slack somewhere. Especially now that I have the Patreon where people are actually investing money, I want to give them my very, very best. And of course, like I said, still, this is the original platform. So giving you guys my very, very best. Okay, fair enough. You've got a bunch of stuff. Even if you're not there, your community can interact and you will have your own community. Gotcha. Okay. I'll think about it. Because like I said, I mean, now YouTube has a community. So it's kind of like, do we need to go over to Discord? I just have to look more into what it is to see if it's really worth it. Ideas are great, but don't burn out. Absolutely. Discord is the best server ever. Beautiful idea. Sorry for my caps. No, don't apologize. I mean, it just sounded like enthusiasm for me. We shall never forget. Right. No, we do not forgive you for your caps. Are you yelling at me? Who do you think I am? Do you know who I am? I'm just kidding. Okay. Yes, but okay. So that is all. Thank you so much for answering that question. Thank you all for your questions and the engagement. I truly love being a part of this community, and I hope for those of you who watch this video later, that if you are someone who has struggled with your relationship with Danmei and your relationship with God, whatever God you may serve, that hopefully this will clear some things up for you and make life a little bit easier and a little bit more enjoyable. And yeah, I cannot wait to see you all next time when we go live. What will it be about? I have no idea. But yeah, so off to start the rewatch now. Yes. Well, Eineman. Bye, you guys.